This was always unwise. I think it was always going to end in tears. But let me tell you, Meghan Markle's decision to host a special bonus episode of her flop podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder, is going to come back to haunt her. It's going to come back to haunt her well and truly. Because Tina Knowles, known as the matriarch, the not altogether sweet mother of Beyoncé Knowles, has just managed to roast the fake duchess on her own show. And it's mortifying. She tears into As Ever and the failed business plan and the sold out scam jam within 45 minutes. She tears into the fact that Meghan Markle does not have communication with her own family. And listening to the fake duchess simp her way through this interview, trying to get Tina Knowles on side desperately. Oh my goodness. It is cringe. It is car crash. And don't worry, I've listened to it so you don't have to. There are no highlights. There are all lowlights to come. But let's have a laugh, because actually, this is brilliant. We're going to get analysis from our royal mastermind, Angela Levin, as we go. But let's kick off now with Meghan's introduction to Tina Knowles. By the way, hardly an A-list guest, right? Like Beyonce's mum. That was a big guest. And Meghan wants to make the point that Tina Knowles at 70 is just very, very, very old.
There's something incredible about a young woman who is willing to roll the dice on herself, be an entrepreneur, and build. Let's say you're in your 20s and you start doing that. Let's say you're in your 30s. Let's say you do that in your 30s and 40s as a working mom and you're trying to figure it out. There is something where I just put my hands up and applaud all of you who are doing the thing. And then there is something that gets a standing ovation. And that is when you are in your 70s and you say, I'm still going to build, and I'm still going to invent, and I'm still going to create. That is next level entrepreneurship.
Oh, she's just so patronizing, isn't she? So patronizing. Just like, very old woman here. We've got an old woman here. And then when Meghan and Tina Knowles start talking, there's a bitch off as to who is the closest friend of Tyler Perry.
Being a mama mogul is not just a title, it's a blueprint for building something that lasts across generations. Here she is.
Hi.
Oh, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm so happy to be sitting down with you.
Oh,
you have
I'm
so
happy
much
to be
amazing
sitting down
stuff.
with you.
Thank you, of course. I'm so glad you reached out. And I love seeing Yvette there. I don't know if I wrote her a letter after I went to Bee's concert a couple years ago. She said the kindest things, and I just wanted her to know how much it meant to me.
And Tyler talks about you. He loves you.
Oh,
Tyler
love him.
Perry. He's a really good friend of mine.
Yes. Well, he's a good friend to have. He's the most
Great friend to have.
extraordinary soundboard. And even, it's interesting for us to be sitting down talking about business, because he is that person that when I have questions about business, or just when you feel like you're off your path, like I need to check in with Tyler.
Yeah. He just finished a book and he wrote me. I mean, it's like poetry. It's so beautiful and uplifting. I'm like, oh God, that's just what I needed today, because I'm so exhausted and kind of depleted, So it just lifted me back up.
That will fill your cup. Tyler Perry can do that.
So Angela Levin, that sets the tone, right? It sets the tone for what to come. So we've got Meghan clearly absolutely terrified. She's this Beyoncé fangirl, really delighted to have Tina Knowles on the podcast. Tina Knowles plugging her hair care brand, not that interested in Meghan. And the battle begins over who's the better friend. A lot more, shall I say, difficult stuff is to come. But it's a very odd interaction, isn't it? Given, shouldn't Meghan, as a former member of the royal family, not be so interested by a D-list celebrity who's the mother of Beyoncé, but really her claim to fame before that was owning a hair salon?
Let's get one thing straight. Meghan Markle brought Tina Knowles onto Confessions of a Female Founder to borrow prestige, not to have a real conversation. This wasn't about connection, it was about control. But what happens when you try to script a woman who built Beyoncé? You get burned. From the first minute, Tina wasn't buying it. Meghan tried to keep it light, loaded with fluff. Tina, on the other hand, came to speak facts. She wasn't there to stroke Meghan's ego. She was there to tell her truth. That's the quote. That's the moment. You could feel the air being sucked out of the studio. Tina Knowles delivered a blow so clean and so devastating, Meghan didn't even know how to respond. No rebuttal. Just awkward silence, a nervous laugh, and a fast pivot to a pre-written question.
Yes, I mean, I wrote down the word patronizing. Yeah, you said it straight after me because, what a dreadful thing. She's talking about women. She's talking about how proud they must be and how they work so hard and how they're so good. And then she's very patronizing on someone who's older than herself. Or she's amazed that they're going to do something. They keep on going. Oh, no, surely not. It's bad enough when you're 20s and your 30s and your 40s, but not when you're 70s. Oh, my God, so wonderful. Oh, that is a very, very old-fashioned way of behaving. The more you listen to what Meghan has been saying over these talks, you see that she's very, very out of time. People do things as long as they want to, and they can do. And there isn't a time when suddenly you stop doing anything and then you do nothing. Is that what Meghan thinks that older women ought to do? It's incredibly irritating.
It was. I thought it was incredibly patronising, making such a big thing about her age. It was very Meghan. But Tina Knowles very quickly gets her own back, Angela Levin. So I want to set up what happens next because it's quite extraordinary. The background, of course, is that, as ever, Meghan's product range with Netflix sold out within 45 minutes. Now, up until this point, Meghan has thought this is a great thing. She put just a few tins of the Scam Jam on sale. There was hardly any product. And now we learn it's not going to be restocked for this year at all. And some of the products may never come back. Now, Meghan, up until this point, has been desperate to plug this as some sort of great success story. But Tina Knowles, who's a real businesswoman who has this hair cab brand, which obviously has to be in stock, quite brutally bursts Meghan's bubble. Listen.
Going, I just picked these strawberries and it's so great. Look, I just put a little bit of sugar and some Meyer lemon, and you try to scale that up.
Oh, yeah.
And you're wanting to manage expectations, but you want to share the thing you've worked so hard on. And so for me at the moment with As Ever, it was great. We planned for a year, and then everything sells out in 45 minutes. With yes, amazing, great news.
But then what do you do then?
Then what do you do?
Yes,
and
Tina.
then you say, okay, we planned as best as we could.
Yes.
Are we going to replenish and sell out again in an hour? Or is that annoying as a customer?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it saying, just pause.
Yeah.
That happened. Let's wait until we are
ready to
completely
go,
I and we have everything we need.
I go through the same thing.
Right? Where you're trying to just balance inventory, cost.
Yes.
At least our things are shelf stable.
Yes. And that's another thing. Ours, they have a shelf life of like 3 years. So your time is ticking. And I know exactly everything you're saying is just a part of business that people don't see.
It's a part, they see all the flashy stuff and they see the product, but that end game, I think you're right. Those behind the scenes moments, how many tears I've shed.
Well, you should be shedding tears, Meghan, because the launch of the business has been a complete disaster. Honestly, I was punching in the air when I heard Tina Knowles say, yes, it is annoying. What are you going to do next? You're out of stock in 45 minutes. This isn't a good thing. And this had clearly really got to Meghan, of course, because her whole narrative has been blown up in smoke. And so she tries once more to hammer home the point of something that she describes as the scarcity mentality. But Tina Knowles, once more, is just not having it.
She's absolutely
And
brilliant.
I feel bad because people are saying, you guys aren't making enough stuff and we're looking for it and we can't find it. So I don't think it's such a good thing all the time to sell out.
Yeah, I think that scarcity mentality at the beginning might be a hook for people, not dissimilar to a sneaker drop. Great.
Yes, exactly.
But when you're talking about products
that you need to be consistent with. are foods that you want to provide to your family.
I don't want you to eat that jam once every 6 months.
Right.
I want that to be on your shelf
Right.
all the time. You want us to wash our hair with these products all the time. So trying to keep up with that demand, I think, is something that's really helpful for people to have that insight on, no matter who you are, that part of the process as an entrepreneur is not easy,
It's hard.
that numbers game.
So basically, Angela and Evan, what we see is Tina Knowles effectively saying, your strategy is whack, you've got no product, you were not ready, and I am here for it. I think it is amazing.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
Yes.
Because you swiped her in the first sentence, what are you doing? Where do you, in other words, she was saying to her, you didn't do any research beforehand. You thought it was going to be a lovely thing that would just work itself out, but you've made a huge mess of it. You've done everything wrong. You've stopped things that people might have wanted to hang on to. You're a useless girl. I think she used that very sharp voice. It's like a headmistress in a school and tells you off, and she wasn't letting you get away with anything. Behave yourself. It was very much like that, wasn't it?
Angela Levin nails it. This wasn't just a disagreement. It was a direct challenge to Meghan's entire identity. Tina was saying, you're not Oprah. You're not Beyoncé. And no, you're not a cultural leader just because you say you are. This is where it gets embarrassing. Meghan has been trying to shift from victim duchess to visionary entrepreneur. The mood boards, the jam jars, the cooking clips, the handwritten notes. It's all surface. But when Tina asked a real question, what are you actually doing? Meghan had no answer. Dan Wooten and Angela both call it out. You can't fake impact. Not in front of a woman like Tina Knowles. Meghan tried to sell vibes. Tina asked for receipts. And that silence said everything.
Oh, it was. Oh, it was. And honestly, what's so great is it's what we've all been saying for such a long time. Like, hang on a moment, this was a PR stunt. It's utterly ludicrous sending out a few jam jars around the world with absolutely no plan to restock whatsoever. But for Beyonce's mum to tell Meghan to her face on her own podcast that your business is a failure. Well, I was here for it. Now, what then gets really interesting, Angela, is the whole discussion about family. Because, of course, family has to come up a lot in this, because Tina Knowles' business, and let's be honest, the only reason that she is successful is because she has a very famous daughter in Beyoncé Knowles, and she may have been a big part of making Beyoncé famous as that sort of momager type figure, but they work together. And what's very interesting in this next portion is that already, how old is Lily? Right? Like 3 years old, so young, but she's already talking about wanting to go into business with her daughter, which I think is, number one, quite weird. But you'll see this moment where there's a realization for Meghan that she is wasting time from being with her family members or Prince Harry's family members because of pathetic feuds. Listen.
What fascinates me too about Sacred is that you're working directly with your daughter. You're working directly with Beyoncé on this, and you've worked with the girls for years, but this is a different type of endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
Just curious. I mean, I wonder if one day I'll be in business with Lily and we'll be building something.
Yeah, that's the best.
What do you have? What advice do you have for people really digging into business together in that way, especially as mother and daughter?
There are difficulties sometimes because when you're dealing with your child or they're dealing with their mother, you have disagreements.
Yep,
and you have to. I'm the one to always cave. Like, I've been like that since I was young. If my kids are mad at me, I can't take it. So I will cave. I'll apologize. Not that they ran over me because they were really good kids, but like, even as adults, if we have a disagreement or whatever, I'm the one to call because I don't want to waste that time. And I don't ever want to not be close to my kids.
Yes.
It's just my priority.
And it would be wasted time. It would be wasted time.
And you can just see there in that moment, Angela, it would be wasted time. Now, what has Meghan done? Wasted time, lost with her own father, completely destroyed Prince Harry's relationship. Now, I think maybe in that moment she didn't have that immediate realization of what she was saying, but you'll see that she comes to it again later in the podcast. And what I think is so devastating for Meghan Markle in a podcast when she's talking to people who have these functional family relationships is it just exposes how bad faith she has acted in terms of her own blood relatives.
Mm. Yes, it's a real knock on the head, isn't it? Here you have a very strong, very fierce in ways, but she knows that her family is first. That was very interesting, that she would even say, "I'm sorry." I'd be the one to say, "I'm sorry," if she found that her children were upset with her, which is actually a very interesting thing in contrast to how she is professionally. But with Meghan, it's the other way around. If you do something that she doesn't like, you're out altogether. You're finished. But she realizes that actually having a family is very important, and that it's very, that she wants to be the ones that they still love. Whereas Meghan always wants to win. It's a case of winning. And she wants to win because of her father or anybody else in her family, apart from her mother. But remember that she didn't mention her mother on Mother's Day. So I've been thinking whether, she's not speaking to her at the moment.
Well,
But
there's
also
an interesting
for Harry's
part.
sake.
There is an interesting part, by the way, just when you're mentioning Doria, because I didn't clip this up because there is so much to get to, but she admits that Doria went to the Beyoncé concert without telling her. Meghan admits that. So I think at the moment, Doria is definitely trying to just get away from the madness. I certainly think that.
Let's talk about what didn't happen. Tina Knowles, Beyoncé's mother, was asked about her daughter, her legacy, her influence, and she refused to engage. Not once did she bring up Bey. Not once did she offer support for Meghan's projects. That's not just avoidance, that's a message. Angela Levin speculates this was a clear distancing move. Tina showed up out of politeness, but she wasn't there to endorse anything. Meghan was trying to leverage Beyoncé's aura, and got nothing but cold air in return.
The next little moment that I want to play you, Angela, is actually the most interesting for me for a few different reasons. And it's a clip that's got a lot of different facets to it. So let me just set it up, because firstly, they're talking about faith. And Tina Knowles is a highly religious woman. Her mum was very Catholic. And she's talking about faith, but she says it doesn't have to be religious faith. But what's interesting is Meghan quite quickly comes back and says, well, I believe in faith in myself. And it's so true when you think about the way that Meghan acts. She doesn't believe in a higher power or anything like that. She thinks that she is God. So that was really interesting. But then Tina Knowles talks about a quote, which is in her book. Now, remembering her book has been released. It's #1 on the bestseller list. And Meghan has to acknowledge that she hasn't even bothered to read her book before interviewing her for the podcast, which is like the ultimate sign of disrespect. She has done no research for this. So that's the second facet. But the third facet, which is by far the most interesting, I think, of the entire podcast, is that Tina Knowles talks about bitterness. And the fact that it's so important that you should not live your life as a bitter human being. And I want you to listen to Meghan's reaction because it's so instructive about why she is continuing this vile warfare against the British royal family and her own family. So I know there's a lot to take in, but you're going to enjoy this. Watch.
I'm not saying it has to be religious faith. That's what it is for me, but you have to have faith in something.
Something greater than yourself, or faith in yourself.
That's right. Yeah.
I used to have a quote up in my trailer years ago that said, "My faith is greater than my fear."
Yes, absolutely. That's in my book too. I say that. Yeah.
Oh my God, I can't wait to dig
because
into it.
it's true. You have to, and that doesn't come easy.
Mm-mm.
And the other thing is I have fought very hard not to be bitter because I don't want to be bitter. I don't want any parts of it. I choose to look at the good things in my life and not harp on the bad ones. And so I've been through a bunch of stuff in my life, really hard stuff. But what I will never be is bitter. I'll let it go.
I mean, that is easier said than done for a
Yeah.
lot of people. But I
Yeah.
think that is what you said earlier, just you don't want wasted time.
Ah, that's what you're doing, Meghan. You're wasting so much time. But how fascinating, Angela, that you've got Tina Knowles saying bitterness. You know, I let go of my bitterness. And you can see Meghan's bristling because that isn't what she believes. This is the most bitter woman in the world, Angela Levin. And she steps in and says, well, you know, that's not how most people feel. And we know who she's talking about. She's talking about herself because she is so bitter and she will never let her bitterness go.
Yeah. It's an amazing podcast.
Isn't it?
I mean, absolutely extraordinary.
Tina Knowles owned her.
As you said, as a journalist or even as somebody who's going to talk to someone, that you don't ignore a book that happens to be at the top of the, you know, what everybody was buying at the moment, and able to talk about all sorts of things that this person is talking about. She didn't even bother to look at it. Oh, really? Is this in there? You know, as if to say, oh, I must look at some time, but when I get round to it. I find that absolutely extraordinary. And I think the other thing about being bitter is what we've discussed so many times, that she could have a lovely life. She could have just, if she doesn't want to have anything to do with the royals. You've got 2 children, you've got a husband, you've got a house with 16 toilets, you know, I mean, get on with it and leave it, the rest behind you. That makes tremendous sense if you don't want to allow bitterness to overtake you.
But Angela, then did you notice at the end of that, that's when Meghan comes back and brings up this concept of wasted time. How can she be so tone deaf? It's like both of your fathers are in their final act. You know, they're both not particularly well men. And you are wasting time.
Well, she thinks that anything that is actually not helping her, but we've seen that before, haven't we? If people aren't of any use to her, she drops them. Well, this is just adding more to that.
But anybody... Exactly, but when it's your family, the problem is you can't, you know, maybe when it's a best friend, you can get away with it, but when it is your family, you can't. Now, look, there is more, Angela. So what I noticed very early on, actually, is that, because I want to talk about the Meghan Beyoncé thing, because it's very clear to me that Meghan puts Beyoncé on a pedestal. She's almost like a bit of an obsessive stalker of Beyoncé. She loves what Beyoncé's done and she wants to get close to her. And I think that really comes out here.
And remember, this isn't the first time Meghan tried to get Beyoncé on board. After the Oprah interview, she allegedly reached out for a public cosign that never came. Now her mother gives her a platform, and it's radio silence. That says everything. Let's talk numbers. Confessions of a Female Founder launched with hype. Spotify was long gone, Netflix wasn't touching audio, so this was Meghan's big independent swing. But after 2 episodes, engagement is down, reviews are tepid, and now? The Tina Knowles episode is going viral for all the wrong reasons. Angela calls this the most damaging episode Meghan's ever recorded. Why? Because it was unscripted exposure. Tina Knowles didn't play the PR game. She held up a mirror and Meghan blinked. No, the narrative has flipped.
70 plus, because I've talked to entrepreneurs on this program who are in their 20s.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Oh, I know. I mean, literally, I'm sitting here in my 40s. Well, you know, Beyonce and I think we're the same age. She's a couple of weeks, she's born in September, right?
Yeah,
Virgo
September.
season. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm in August this year. So we'll both be 44 this year.
Are you a Virgo too?
I'm a Leo. H is a Virgo.
You're a Leo. Okay.
My mom's a Virgo. H is a Virgo.
Really?
I'm surrounded by Virgos.
Oh, okay.
Virgo season.
Well, that's a good thing.
So I think that was all very weird. And then she also, of course, is trying to do the whole let's slip in lots of information about the children. So she talks about Archie turning 6.
We're all kind of figuring it out along the way, and also we evolve as women.
Absolutely.
And the chapters of being a mother evolve. I mean, Archie turns 6 tomorrow. I'm going,
where did the time go?
Where did the time go? I remember carrying him out there, and I'm just, he is now 6 years old. We had his birthday party yesterday.
Oh, my goodness.
But you look up, and really, I think everything is in constant fluid motion, but the common denominator is you knew, even when you had a salon back then to now having sacred in this moment in time, the connective tissue is the same.
Yes.
What's she talking about? What's she talking about? Firstly, carried out, she out where? And the connective tissue? What are you on about, woman? Very, very weird. I also wanted to draw your attention to this moment, Angela, where Tina Knowles, without any shame whatsoever, talks about the fact that Beyoncé wears a lot of wigs, right? And that's great. Like, why is there any issue with that? And Meghan immediately makes it a story about herself. And this is just so Meghan Markle. This is why people cannot stand Meghan Markle, right? Because she makes it clear that she's never worn one. Oh, but I would, but I've never worn one. Beyonce's worn a wig, I haven't. Listen.
She wears wigs a lot, and she has managed to keep her hair beautiful and healthy. And that's not an easy task when you're in show business.
That is a testament. I mean, even on Suits, I was on Suits for 7 years, and I remember so many other actresses, especially if you're in that grind.
Yes.
They said, you are going to fry your hair. And everyone was recommending that I should start wearing wigs. I never ended up doing it.
Right.
By the way, if I was in that industry longer, I understand why you need to protect your hair in that way.
Yeah, because who wants to curl and spray and tease and, do all those things to your hair every day?
Do you see what I mean, Angela? It's so obvious. It's so obvious, despite what she tries to do, that actually she's looking down on women who wear wigs.
Yes, that's right. It does look like that. That she goes above that. She's more important to wear them, and she has this amazing hair. But I thought she had very, very curly hair. So she must have to work on that enormously hard if she's not wearing any sort of wig.
Yeah, well, she does in another part of the podcast talk about the fact that when she was a teenager, she did actually, this is Meghan, did actually go to the salon for like 4 hours at a time. So it was interesting. But I just thought the wig thing was interesting because it was like she wanted to use that moment rather than talking about Beyonce's wigs, rather than talking about why Beyonce might wear wigs, why it's really helped protect her hair. Meghan used that moment, Angela, to tell the world, to insist to the world, I don't wear wigs, because everything is just about her hitting back. There is another moment that is really cringe, so cringe, when Tina Knowles has a little bit of a cough, and Meghan again has to make it all about proving that she is the nicest, the kindest, the most generous woman in the world, Angela. Listen.
Exactly. My allergies are.
Oh, no. Do you eat local honey? That can help.
I used to, and it really does work. I have to get back to that. That's
you
a
have
good
to get back
suggestion.
on that, because the other day, one of Archie's little friends at school, this little girl has such bad allergies. And I said, hold on a minute. We have bees. Let me give you a jar of our honey.
Oh, you
Just have a
guys have
spoon.
bees too?
We sure do.
Beyonce has bees too.
She does?
Yeah, she has a beehive.
Oh my gosh, I didn't. Well, I know
Yeah.
she has a beehive. I didn't know she had bees.
No, real bees.
The real ones, yeah. I mean, we have three, like a little apiary down there, and 3 of them. And Archie has his little beekeeper suit.
Oh, that
with
is
the whole
so
hat on and
cool.
the gloves. It's great. But I will say, for allergies, helpful, because the local, if it's local honey,
Yes.
get all the pollen, all the same things in your system, and then it desensitizes allergies. But I'm sorry.
Oh, well, thank you.
That's no fun. Of course.
I'm sorry.
No. Don't be silly.
Don't be silly. And I mean, she clearly made Tina Knowles feel, Angela, as if she had to apologize, number one. Secondly, yet again, this is like Meghan teaching us all how to suck eggs, isn't it? It's like,
Yes.
we've all heard that advice, love.
The woman who claimed to empower female founders just got demolished by one of the most respected matriarchs in the business. Dan and Angela know how this works. Meghan's team will spin this. They'll say it was a powerful conversation, strong women exchanging ideas, open dialogue is essential. But behind the scenes, damage control is already underway. Expect a new Instagram quote, photo with the kids, a vague post about kindness. But we see through it now. This wasn't empowerment. It was exposure. Meghan was unmasked on her own show, and the world watched it happen in real time. This is the pattern. Jessica Mulroney? Gone. Serena Williams? Reportedly ghosted after the Vogue cover incident. Oprah? Quiet. Tyler Perry? Silent. No. Tina Knowles walks away without giving Meghan a single ounce of validation.
Yeah, I mean, but also it shows us yet again and again, which we've really learnt on these podcasts, that if she is, the person she's talking to says something that is quite difficult, or they're worried about, she immediately takes it to herself. They don't have a chance.
I
to
gave
get
a little
more
one
than
of
a
Archie's
sentence
friends
or two.
some honey. I gave Archie's friends some honey because I make my own honey, but I'm so generous with it, Angela. And Archie has friends. We know what she's doing, but it doesn't work. And what was so obvious is it just made Tina Knowles feel very uncomfortable in that moment. And Tina Knowles isn't usually a person who does feel uncomfortable. Now, then, Angela, of course, because this was obviously recorded, by the way, before Beyoncé went to the concert, where Harry was wearing the hat and all of that. It was beforehand. And there was a lot of consternation in Meghan's circle because the big night to go to was the first night, because that's where Tina Knowles hosted Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry and Gayle King. And there is some really fascinating interchange between the two of them over this, because it's quite clear that Meghan wanted to go to that first night but wasn't able to arrange it. Listen.
So you're busy, you're on the tour. I'm sure I'm going to see you on one of the dates. We've all been trying to rally to figure out which show to come to. My mom just went last week.
She did?
She did. I didn't even know. She was like, oh, I just went. She goes, ooh, she's so good. I was like, you went, you didn't tell me.
I wish I would have talked to her, got to say
I know,
hi.
I
She
know.
was lovely.
But, how's the tour been going? Good?
It's
with
going
everything
good.
else.
I was there. She had one last night, and it's just getting better and better. Because, when you go to the first, it's like first couple,
Getting your sea legs back.
Yeah, you get your sea legs back. Because nobody else knows, but we know,
I sort of think, gosh, maybe I'm starting to like Doria. Because she's like, no. I'm not going with my daughter who's just going to cause carnage. I'm just going to go on my own like a normal human being. So that was the first moment. Then, of course, it's quite awkward because Meghan wasn't invited to that first night, but Tina Knowles let slip about how great it was hanging out with Oprah and Gayle and Tyler.
Exactly.
Last night was on fire.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait.
Yeah, y'all got to come.
I know, I can't wait.
Tyler came the very first night. He and Oprah and Gayle, and we had so much fun. Yeah.
Oh, I bet. I can't imagine how you can juggle all of it, but my goodness, did your girls adopt your work ethic?
That's a good thing.
There's something to be said.
Angela, you could actually hear the tone of her voice change, couldn't you? When Tina says, oh, it was great, Tyler and Oprah and Gayle were there. And you weren't. That's the undertone. And Meghan's tone of her voice says, oh, I bet. But she's seething. She's so clearly seething.
You can hear that she was absolutely furious. And saying that she doesn't know how they manage was actually also about them being a bit older. And they shouldn't be able to take anything that would be long and good. They wouldn't have the power to do that. Not good for them. They'd make themselves ill because they're so old. You can hear that. That's instant hitting back for saying, if I haven't gone and they didn't invite me, then you shouldn't have come because you're too old and it won't do you any good. There's no joy that they had a lovely time. There's actually nastiness there underneath, and it was quite clear in the tone of her voice. She obviously couldn't help that.
No, indeed, she couldn't. And finally, Angela, of course, we get Meghan making it clear that everything is just totally fine with H. It's so fine with H, Angela. It's so fine with H that actually we're going on a date night tonight.
Balance, yeah.
Yes, and I think that's going to be one of the hardest lessons. Look, even for me, I hear you saying that, and I'm integrating that, going, yeah, just take a minute to breathe, enjoy it, go have a date night. We have a date night tonight.
That's right. Oh, good.
Exactly.
Life's perfect, Angela.
Oh, dear. I mean, you feel quite sick, don't you? I mean, the balance she's talking about. Um, she's very unbalanced, isn't she, in terms of what she should be doing, who she should be with, because she's frantically worried about everything. She's frantically worried about doing the best jam in the whole world or the whole country. You know, she just can't actually find out what she wants and then do it. I mean, you see that even with these food things, you know, as ever, loving, and all the titles she's got are ridiculous, really, because she should have one title and do that and then leave it and do another thing. But she's got to do everything because she's so frightened she's not going to be the best woman in the whole world. But it doesn't work. I think she can't. She's she's a very strange, difficult woman, and she sort of shakes with anger if she's not being at the top of the line, and she can't because it's a ridiculous thing to try to do. So she sort of knocks other people off, but it still doesn't work. But that thing, you know, oh, I'm going out with hurry. Well, it's not a big deal to go out with your husband for a date, is it? I mean, what's strange in that?
Angela says it best. The Markle brand isn't just underperforming. It's becoming untouchable. Hollywood doesn't want the drama. Real founders don't want the fluff. The public doesn't want another sob story. This isn't just one bad interview. It's a death knell for her influencer fantasy. That closing line, "Good luck with your project," that was the final nail. No warmth. No praise. No excitement. Just a subtle shrug and a professional exit. Tina Knowles walked in like a queen and walked out like she knew exactly what just happened. Meghan Markle tried to align herself with cultural royalty. Instead, she was politely and publicly humbled. And if this podcast was supposed to be her comeback, it's already crashing.